pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number two, Kim.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a roll call and we have once a year this happens, we have or once every couple of years, a swearing in of the newly elected officers. That will be Mr. Cuny, myself, and Mr. Peavy.
Okay, I do. It's right there. First thing, Kim, do we have to file anything with? Thank you, the county. I don't have to do anything. I have to read that apparently.
So you have to take the oath. Unless something changed, and then you gotta sign the oath too
Fair
here.
enough, they have theirs, so they have to listen.
That's yours.
All right.
You sign it after you,
After I,
after you swear us in, then come notarize it.
cool. Okay, roll call. Paul Cuny.
Here.
Al Davis. Here. Charlie Keough. Robert Laraway.
Here.
Brad Beatty.
Here.
Carol Shannon here. Dave Torres.
Here.
Okay. Do I have to go somewhere in particular?
They should stand up and raise their right hand.
Oh, please stand up and raise your right hand. Okay, I'm going to read the acceptance of office. I do hereby accept the office of village council member for the village of Lake Isabella, Isabella County and state of Michigan. The term of elected office shall begin on January 2nd, 2023, and shall terminate on January 4th, 2027.
The oath is below.
I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and the Charter of the Village of Lake Isabella, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Village Council Member for the Village of Lake Isabella according to the best of my ability.
I do. Yeah.
Cool. Please sign and return so we can sign and notarize. Thank you.
Oh.
Right here. Oops, thanks, sir. All right. Okay. You all right? All right. Okay.
All right. Okay, agenda's before us. Any additions, corrections? If not, agenda will stand with unanimous consent. Next, we have the consent agenda. Any additions? Anything you want to take out? Discuss? Chair will entertain a motion. Motion made by Davis to accept the agenda as written.
I'll second.
Seconded by Cuny. Discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. All right. First thing I want to do is I want to thank the Planning Commission who's worked tirelessly and for a long time on the zoning, the new zoning ordinance and stuff. So document of about 175 plus pages, and I know you've gone through it line by line because I can see all the corrections and things that we did in paragraphs, and that spanned quite a few different people, some of who aren't with us anymore. So I want to thank them again, because that's really a major task. Jessica's also here to represent Adopt a Family. I would encourage everyone to consider that for Christmas, and she'll have more on that later, I imagine. And I want to congratulate Tim on having an open dialogue with the Road Commission about the things that we have been trying to get done here as far as what to do with paving and et cetera, and the drain and everything else. So thank you for all that. And Tim compiled a report. He and I talked about it, and the post-election analysis, which we'll go through because it has something to do with his evaluation in the closed session at the end of the meeting. Mr. Mann.
Well, you took two of the three off the docket already. The adopted family, if Jessica wanted to give a brief little update on where we're at, what the plans are this year and how we did last year.
Every year we surpass the year before that, which is pretty amazing. I was pretty shocked last year, just the last couple of years because of COVID, but people really were in the giving spirit both years. And so this year we had a little left over from last year, and we are now going to be partnering with Big Brothers and Big Sisters to help with that program. We're going to do two things. We're going to actually give all 50, we have 50 matches right now in Isabella County. We're going to give them all a gift certificate to pizza so that they can all go get a pizza with their littles and then go back and do a craft at the agency. And then we're also just going to make one lump sum donation to where they can use that for gas cards and whatnot for the bigs to take the littles places. We've also decided this year, we're going to start working with the Cat Coalition, the Hats, and Karma Cat Cafe in Mount Pleasant. Just a little bit of, cat litter, dog food and whatnot, just to help the animals. We have a lot of animal lovers out here. So we thought, we have this money, why not spread it as far as we can? We did a little bit with Phil the Mayflower this past week. And other than that, we're going to go with, we have 3 families from Rise. We have our feelers out at Beale City and Chip Hills for families that we can adopt through them. We are also going to be getting with teachers at both of those schools so that we could possibly get their wish lists for their classrooms to see if we can help with that. We're also paying off Beale City's lunch accounts for past due accounts. Chip Hills does not have any, thankfully, because they have a free breakfast and lunch program. And we are also going to try to finish filling Riley's Closet, which started new last year in Beale City. So those are all the things that we plan on doing. And if we have any extra money, we try to find other ways. We are also looking into the possibility of paying off some electric bills for people in our area. I'm working with Tri-County and consumers on that. So we also have boxes at Out of Bounds here and Lake Isabella Property Owners Association, and new this year at the Dollar General. So if you have any other questions, get with me at
Coldwater.
the one on Coldwater. Yep. And this was really exciting. I'm sorry. This was really exciting. They have a penny thing. And when I was talking to the folks at Dollar General, she said last year she ran into the problem where she tried to get a hold of multiple agencies to take their items that they pulled off the shelf that they can't sell anymore, whether it be, laundry bins or soap or laundry soap. And she said she couldn't find any agency to come get them. She found one agency that said if they wanted to take it to them, they would gladly take it. And so she said that give her my card, which I did, and they will call us and we will be able to take all their leftovers and whatnot for donations as we see fit. So that was pretty exciting. That's all.
In addition to that, you'll have the audit presented at next month's meeting. There is one corrective item in the audit this year. As I discussed previously, we received our second ARPA payment on the last day of the last fiscal year. I said that's going to cause us a problem on our audit, and because we got it on the last day, we couldn't amend our budget. So it should have been listed as deferred revenue, and we didn't do it because we just didn't get it in time. So that's the only thing. The auditor said most of their clients had that comment this year for the same reason, that they got it and it was just at that time of year. As discussed a little bit earlier by President Ferguson, I've been talking with the Road Commission. They are looking to do a large chip and fog project throughout the county next year, including on Drew Road. We were looking at doing a chip seal on Queensway and probably down to DeQuesta and Bundy. But if we could piggyback on their project on the streets in red, there would be Queensway all the way to DeQuesta all the way up to the village limits, and then Bundy down to Essex. We could do that with probably a significant cost savings of doing it our own, or even half of that on our own. So working on that right now. I reached out to some colleagues to get some sample agreements and things to present to them, because this is the first time they would have done this. So I'm gonna get with them after Thanksgiving and say, these are the options that I can find in terms of how we can make this happen from a approval on our end and the billing on their end type deal. But those are the projects we're looking at right now with them to do that. And one other thing, this isn't in my report, and I haven't sent the congratulatory letters out yet to individuals because I'm still waiting to hear back on a couple. But I would like to acknowledge former village president George Dunn, who earlier this year, like 2 months ago, he was one of 5 individuals that was nominated and approved to be on our wall of fame here at the Village Hall. Recognizing his years of service to the village, the planning commission and the village council. And he's a good neighbor. So, but I just wanted to thank George for his service. That is all I have.
All right, questions? Okay. Jeff, I know you have something to say.
Oh, yeah.
Let's let him be second.
Oh, wait,
Sherman Township.
the Sherman Township Park Trail is finished. So that's been all paved and done that way. So it's just over a third of a mile walking area. If you want to go ahead and use that. That part's done. We just got the bill for it. 65,870 is what we're paying for that, using part of our ARPA money to cover that part. Hopefully next year, we're also gonna look into doing some solar lighting so you can use it at night. And possibly also having some Wi-Fi available there too, so you can be with your smartwatches and stuff like that too, but that'll be next year's project. December 10th, the Sherman Township, some of the residents there are actually putting together a Christmas Eve festival. It's gonna be on December 10th at the park. They're gonna be lighting an 18-foot Christmas tree and having hot cocoa, and they're also gonna be doing a bonfire and stuff like that too. I don't remember what the time was. Kim, do you remember what it was that they say last night?
No, I don't
I
know.
want to say it's like 5:30 or 6, but I'll find out for you guys and let you know for sure. So, but December 10th is when they're doing that. Tim, this will tell you more to you. Apparently I don't know if it's the county or the state, but as of now, township clerks, or excuse me, township treasurers are now doing dog licensing. So that was announced last night. So Teresa Clark, our treasurer, will be handling any and all new dog licenses that will be coming out through that way. I informed her how we take care of issues here at the village, so she didn't think she'd be that busy. And I told her to think otherwise, that she probably would be, so any dog licensing that you want to be done will now be done to your local township treasurer.
March 1st.
Pardon me.
March 1st.
March 1st, yeah,
There
sorry.
you go, because it's late after that.
The bridge on Woodruff Road heading north of Raven is finished and opened, so that's all taken care of. But that also leads into our big issue that we dealt with last night, is we received a violation notice from Eagle, which is the old DEQ. They have done some E. coli testing. And the E. coli testing in Sherman Township, one area, one of them came back at 280, 300 is your normal cutoff, anything below 300, you're fine. We had another test that came in at 540, and another one that came in at 2,400. Yeah, so we've been told that we have to start down the road of possibly looking into putting a sewer system in. Right now, it only looks like to be the Wademan area, also including Lake of the Hills, and possibly a little bit farther north of that up to the Ojibwe area as well. Lake Isabella was mentioned, but not included in this thing as for that it's going to extend down into this area, but we're just in the very, very beginning stages of it. We have to have some information back to them by December 5th. So it's basically first step. So I'll let you guys know from there once things progress, if we end up having to do that stuff. But that 2,400 was shocking, and that was some testing that was done in August of this year that came up that way. So they did a dry test and a wet test. But hopefully we've asked them to continue doing these testing and do some other areas as well. Pardon me?
Why did they wait so long to tell you what the results were?
Honestly, I don't have an answer, but I think a lot of it stemmed with the Steel City system that's going in and all that stuff, that I think the tribe is extending and trying to find out beyond Steel City area. So I think they're just taking a look at all those areas that have drainage and testing all of it to see. Wademan's an old city, so
Right.
there are sewer systems and septic tanks and stuff in there that are excessively old. Unfortunately, the other part of it is too, is a lot of those lots are so small. In order for somebody to, let's say, replace or fix their current tank and or field, those lots are so small, they can't even make it to whatever the current code is. So they had to put a 1,200,000 gallon tank in, a lot of places can't do that, so I have a feeling we're gonna get pushed into doing the whole sewer system and all that stuff too, but I'll keep you guys up to date as more of that comes along. BSNA has the stuff that we already have right now on our website for doing your checking for your property cards and that kind of stuff. The townships are all now gathering together and they're gonna do the same thing that the village has done a while ago, to where you're gonna be able to go to the county website and look up all your own property stuff. But there is a $3 charge for it, for doing that. You can look up your own, no problem, but a lot of times realtors and title companies, stuff like that, want to look a lot of that stuff up too, so they're gonna have to start paying for those pieces of information, unless you contact your local assessor, then she can take care of it from there. I think that's about it for right now. The only other thing would be, with the fire department, now the West Sherman Fire Department, we're looking for, emergency response people to get trained. So we now have the ability to have people come in and do just medical response only, and don't have to be a fireman. So if you know anybody who's interested in that stuff, have them contact the Dave Fillmore or Dave Livermore. So
Okay, thank you.
that's it.
And do we have someone from the LIPOA? Any information?
Collins here. Well, I usually just give an update for what happened last meeting.
Yeah. Anything
I
happen?
was there, tell you. Sorry. I don't mind doing this a lot. Most of the conversation was about the non-passing of the dredging. So
Say again?
most of the conversation that night was about the non-passing of the dredging and the trails. I got the impression from most, if not all of them, they're still willing and want to pursue doing that somewhere down the road, but it was a lot of just what ifs and stuff like that that was talked about. That was a majority of the meeting that they had time and talked about.
Come to any conclusions?
Pardon?
Did you guys come to any conclusions about it?
No, we thought, well, we thought it would, maybe if it had been on the vote by itself, it would have gone through.
I mean, if the two issues would have been separate.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a public hearing
I should have warned you.
for ordinance? Excuse me,
Not a city yet, village.
Village, yeah.
Oh, come on, Paul.
Village ordinance 2022-02, comprehensive zoning code and update of the map. Okay. So. Public hearing is now open at 7:18.
This evening you have one public hearing on the docket. It is for the comprehensive zoning code and map update that has been worked on pretty much all year at this point in time. The Planning Commission began work on it in January. They held a public hearing at their July meeting and received lots of feedback. They incorporated the feedback from that meeting, brought the draft back the following month to show that all those changes, removing bed and breakfast, removing accessory dwelling units from the LR4, all those were addressed. They recommended it to you. You guys received it at your August meeting. You wordsmithed it a couple of times and have scheduled it for a public hearing tonight. The way it works in the state of Michigan is any zoning ordinance has to have a public hearing before the Planning Commission. Our charter says that any ordinance has to also have a public hearing before the village council. The zoning law says that if you hold a public hearing on a zoning matter, it has to follow the notification procedure in the zoning act. So the same mailing list that we sent out in July is the same list that got noticed tonight. Prior to the meeting, we had a call from two people just inquiring about any changes from the public hearing, from the Planning Commission process. Assured them that all those changes that were made, that nothing's been changed in that regard. So they were comfortable with that. But in general, we talked about this at length in terms of the rationale and in terms of, what the goals are in doing this. One of the main ones being Something that we really came to a conclusion on when we were dealing with garages back in 2020. In that process, we were receiving a lot of feedback, particularly in areas that were more recently platted. So Platinas Point, Reston Verde, Bonita Bay, that our zoning ordinance was more lax than what their plat restrictions were. And we went back and looked and said, you know what, they're right, because our zoning ordinance was built upon the framework of what the LIP or the Lake Isabella Development Corporation plats were. 75 by 150 size lots. And those standards in terms of design and size and all that, that was what our LR1 district was designed for. And what we found in these plats over here is that that would allow us to issue a permit that would conflict with what their plat requirements say for size and design and that kind of stuff. So one of the things that we did in this process is we went and we carved up the LR1 district into more appropriate classifications based on the use and based on the development history there. So all of those newer plats we put into an LR4 district, and that matches the development restrictions in the building use restrictions for those plats. So we took that area of conflict out. Areas that we were also very sensitive to, we have several areas in the village that were never platted and that were never owned by the Lake Isabella Corporation. And they were also subject to Lake Residential 1 development restrictions. And the Planning Commission looked at that and said that's entirely unfair. They were brought into the village because we had to have certain boundaries from the state. We want to give these people as much flexibility as possible with their land in terms of residential use and accessory structures, those type of things. So that's an LR5 district. And then a few years ago, we made a chalet overlay district, which is Channel in Northview, down at the south end of the lake. And we did that specifically because of the unique size of those lots. They're so shallow that you can't get a home and a garage and a well, all that stuff within the required isolation distance from the lake. So we originally started with an overlay district. We said, you know what, let's just make that the regular zoning, because the setback issues are going to be the setback issues no matter what we call it. So we made that LR3. We'd originally looked at having the area here on Fairway that the condos are at and the Maury property around it be part of a neighborhood mixed use. And after the public hearing, we went back to the drawing board on that and made it just back to the original district that it is right now, which is an attached single family district. We just renamed it, but it's the same district it is now. We call it like a medium density residential, because that's really the only place where we allow any type of attached dwelling right now. And then LR2 district, which is the commonly called the mobile home area, is unchanged. A couple of the big things that we did in this document is we created a new classification of structure called carriage house. So this is something that we get asked about frequently, which is, can I have a ground floor garage and a second floor for my dwelling area? And we said yes, and we put that as an option in the LR2 district. Looking at what we have done development wise, the LR2 area is a place where we have not seen a lot of development. And we thought this would be an appropriate way to use a market-based incentive to spur development in that area, because that is a unique type of building that could only be built there. One of the other things we also did when we looked through the development history is we went back and we've talked about this at length, carved out an exception for single wides, specifically and only existing single wides, that they could be replaced with a single wide. Not bringing any new ones in, a new vacant property, but we looked at the stock of 108, 105 out there. Their average age is 42 years old. And the property, because we're set up on well and septic, is set up for that size structure in that location. There's absolutely no market-based incentive to someone to come in, remove that, and then build something different and then have to relocate a well or a septic when there's lots of abundant vacant land in the village. So I said, let's at least try to create something there so that people might be able to bring in newer quality homes that have existing single wides to improve that housing stock in the village. That's the bulk of the main changes. We did lots of reorganization, putting things that were in 4 different places into one, like street standards.
Easier to find.
Yeah, we really tried to make it much easier. We tried to put in as many tables as possible to make it easier to read. And so, yeah, and you guys looked at it, we've had it for like 3 months now, so.
Yeah.
With that, I think you're good for public comment, sir.
Okay. Portion of the hearing is open for public comment. Name and address just for the record, and try to keep your comment to 3 minutes or so.
Richard Cook.
Sandra Strauss.
I know Alan for a long time. Go ahead.
The property 286 Coldwater Road,
438 also. 438,
438.
438 is Dennis.
Oh, okay,
286 was.
The two properties cover around your field, right?
right.
Yes.
Well, it'll be the one in my front yard.
They are the two orange boxes and that bottom green on Coldwater Road.
We've been looking at tearing that house down, and I was just gonna incorporate it right back into my property. Sure.
Which is then zoned as ag, right?
Which is on Zag, I guess.
So that was just
I didn't know,
if you had to do anything.
well, yeah, you guys are gonna put it into another zoning residential, which it probably is already residential.
It is, yeah, it's LR1.
Is there any issues?
I think we can just come back and rezone that to ag.
Once it's
Yeah,
incorporated.
yeah, if you guys want to go that route, I don't think any of us are gonna have any issue doing that, so.
When you do that, do you do something with the deed so that it stays with the property so that it can't be split off again?
Repeat that one?
What I'm asking is, do you have to, in order to get it switched over to ag, do you have to do something to the deed? You know, once you tear the house down, you know, and it's gone, is that gonna remain a separate parcel?
No,
Or, so you gotta do something with the deed to have that incorporated in with your property.
Right.
yeah.
What's your timeline on doing it?
Well, we were hoping.
What's your
to have
timeline?
it-
What's your
We
timeline?
were hoping to have it done by now. COVID kind of got us caught off guard, and then the fire department couldn't get a permit to burn it because they were wanting to test it.
Mhm,
Well, they did train, they were training in it,
okay,
and they wanted to do then training with the burning also. And then the DEQ came in and, or maybe it's the state
State said,
somehow said,
and then the police had a chance to train in it too, so they've been having fun in it, I guess. But
we'd like to get rid of it.
we gotta get rid of it. It's,
I mean, if you guys want, I can put it on the planning commission agenda for the next meeting to start the rezoning process, so.
Yeah, you'll do that.
Yeah, so I mean, that would realistically be done here February at the latest, to rezone it to ag.
I don't know if I'd even start it before summertime.
Okay, and we can just do it to get out of the way for you. I mean, I don't think any of us here have any issue doing that, so.
Other public comment.
Bob Grover, 1022 Canterbury Drive. Just a quick kind of clarification and, maybe Kim's better at explaining this. The mixed use, when I look that up, it tells me it has to be like commercial, residential, office, residential, commercial office. So if somebody were to do something on there, does it have to be a combination or can it be just any of those?
Any of them.
Okay, it doesn't clarify when I read through from the state information, I'm like, no. Okay. Thanks.
Colleen Alstrom, 1060 El Camino. I object to your changing of your square foot. It's actually a 241 page document. And I looked through it. On page 86, you're changing the square foot down to 840 square feet in one instance. That's for a single T lot in LR1. And I want to know one thing is that can waterfront, I have a single T lot next to me, this waterfront. Could he have put an 840 square foot house on that? That would do a lot for my property value. Also on LR, in LR2, you have it down to 800 square feet, and in LR3, you have it down to 900. I can't see Carolyn more houses in here is gonna help anybody's property values. Or the lake is already busy enough.
You looking something up?
I am looking something up. The current square footage requirement on a single T lot is 840 square feet. That's not changed. That's currently what's in the ordinance.
So it's the same as it always.
LR2 is currently 800. Yep.
So
But
it's the same as it
LR1
always
used to be
was.
straight 1,400 for everybody, not, it didn't split down into these three different categories.
LR1 used to be 1,200.
1,200
1,200.
wrong.
It was 1,200 for all, and then we went to 1,400 for waterfront and 1,200 for back lot. And that's what it currently is.
Do you have it there where it says differently?
I
You
don't
mean-
have the old, one. I don't have the old one. I have the current one, where it says it's gonna be, LR1 is gonna be now waterfront 1,400, back lot 1,200, single T lot 840.
And that's the way that.
That's literally
that's the
how it
way-
reads right now.
That's the way it is. That's the way it's been. So that hasn't changed.
Okay.
If you could show us something different, you know, and
Yeah,
not tonight,
okay.
but he's pulling off his phone, the current one.
Yeah.
That's what he's looking at is the current one in place off his phone. And then we have the documents here for the proposed, so.
I think I can bring it up right here.
Well, I still object to it. I think it's wrong, but in that district, I think it's wrong to allow that small of a house.
Well, weren't these done with the building use restrictions of old?
Yeah.
These are the original things that we went off of. The old building use restrictions.
Well, you changed other things. You could have changed it.
That's what's currently in the ordinance right there.
Which is what it was.
Yeah.
What's the same then? Okay.
Well, okay, I object to the same. I object to it that way. I object to it this way.
Noted. Next, anybody else?
Georgetown, 1283 Queensway, would just like to compliment, which is rare, the planning commission for the manner in which they handled a number of objections and dealt with them, I think, very fairly and appropriately. They did an excellent job. Pass that along to them.
Thank you. Did a lot of work, all that. Anyone else?
Jeff Gray, I agree with George that the planning commission did hear you guys loud and clear with the bed and breakfast stuff. And that was taken out of most of, if not all of the LR areas, so thank you for the compliment on that. I thought that meeting went really well for doing that stuff too, but I want to make sure people understand that we do listen and do make changes based on what people want to see happening, so.
Others? Okay, public comment portion of that is closed. Council, any questions? No? Anybody? Okay, close the public hearing at 7:33. The issues before you. Council, what's your pleasure? We need a motion.
I'll make the motion to accept the resolution to the zoning and voting update.
Motion made by Davis for the proposed ordinance 2022-02 zoning code and map updates be accepted, seconded by Laraway. Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Robert Laraway.
Aye.
Brent Peavy,
Yes.
Carol Shannon, yes. Paul Cuny,
Yes.
Al Davis,
Yes.
Dave Torgerson.
Yes, motion carries. unanimously. Public comments. Same as before, just keep your comments to about 3 minutes, and name and address for the record. Public comment.
Bob Grover, 1022 Canterbury Drive again. Just a comment on the proposal. While I was a yes vote, and I openly admit that, many people I talked to were a no because they did not want that connected. That's the common theme I heard, and I know it's been shared here already, but maybe I talked to people that haven't, but I got, you know, at least the people that I did talk to said if they'd have separated the two, the dredging would have gone through. Probably not the other. That's just a perspective to share.
Yeah, that's one of the conundrums, because out of the 5 meetings that I attended here, information meetings, it only came up once.
Yeah.
Never came up in the other 4.
Well, the people who talk don't always show.
Right.
I know that.
But there was more people here than there are here now, and they were all for everything. But I understand, yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, Colleen also, 1060 El Camino. There's one other thing you added into this that I forgot. The economy dwellings of 400 square feet is a new one, which it's even smaller. I don't know. I guess you know how I feel.
Yep. Okay. Further comment? Okay, public comment closed. Let's go to existing business. Drainage agreement, Mr. Wolf.
Mr. Council. This is back to you guys. Roe was here at the last meeting. They answered your questions. You know, we still have the legal issue on our end that we can't start adding water to our ditch because it's not a drain of record. I mean, do you want to approach the county to work with them or, you know, something like that, but you know, the price is unchanged and you heard the scope of their work. So,
What do you think our chances are if the county, get the county to work with us on that?
I don't think you want the county to work with you because then you're gonna have to pay a hefty special assessment to make that a county drain.
Okay, good answer.
All right.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like to me.
The water's unflowing.
You know,
You know, I'm myself, I'm right in the middle of it, but I'm, you know, fairly high and dry until we get them, you know, the storms, and it just, it doesn't go anywhere other than across your property to that non-county drain. And that can be shut off at any time. So it's not only, you know, that would not only affect my property, but the, you know, the DPW there and everybody north of that and everybody west of that.
yeah, I think the drainage there is established enough that it's got a prescriptive easement at this point in time based on its historical presence and use that a court would determine that that's an existing drainage thing there.
But to get it changed officially,
To get it changed officially where you could reroute additional water to it is a different thing altogether.
that's where the
That's where the conundrum.
special sun assessment comes.
You know, that's why when we looked at this, it would be, you know, us trying to run it down baseline to get it out, because that's our road, that's our right of way, and it's, you know, our ditch. You know,
But the trouble is it goes both ways at baseline. It's got a crown in it, kind of.
yeah, it's got a crown in it and there's not a culvert under baseline to accept the water from the north. So the water on the out of bounds side on the north doesn't have anywhere to go once it reaches that intersection. So it tries to run the other way down baseline. In the topography there is such that over the years that kind of right in front of Ray Vanderbilj's drain shop is now kind of the new high point. So water sheets in both directions from there.
East and west.
You go east, there's no ditch on the north side of the street. On the south side, there isn't a ditch either once you get past the parking lot of the restaurant, you know, down by the storage unit, there's a little bit, but once you get in front of the dog kennel, you know, that area is not ditched down towards the tree line there. mean, if we're gonna do anything, that's probably the place I would just start if we want to look at doing
Baseline.
any project. Simply because, you know, it's a lot like we were looking at with the lake. You have to start at the river because that's where it starts. Where if you want to start addressing the water, you need to start at the end where the water is going to end up. So you don't create a new problem in the middle till you get to that point. So, you know, I think we could definitely look at a spring project maybe of doing ditching there for the next year, you know, next budget type deal, if we want to look at this further.
I think there's something that we have to try to do,
Yeah,
but I'm not sure that we need a feasibility study, because the feasibility study includes all of the drainage, right? Instead of what we can do.
Are these green lines, are those existing culverts? Or those proposed ones?
that's a poor illustration from years ago. That was the,
They're already there.
They are small.
Yeah, the one across from the red arrow is the
Yeah.
biggest one, isn't it?
there's not one under baseline. That was a map I made in 17 from the flood.
Oh,
I just put that in to show the arrows where the water is draining.
but the one on Coldwater is the largest one.
So the largest ones, the one that really runs right in front of our driveway.
Oh, that, yeah.
That one's a 36er. We've got at least a 24 under our driveway. Going north, Al's is 18. Yeah, I was saying 18. And what I've noticed, you know, I've been here a good click at this time, water ponds in that area now where it used to not do that. So that could be something that we could look at, opening that back up to get towards our ditch, because that's existing drainage, so that one's fine. But under Coldwater Road, the two culverts there are on the north and south sides of the T intersection with Berg or Baseline.
Right.
And those are like 12. Those are small, the old cast ones. Yeah, they're tiny culverts and, you know, they're not really maintained that well. Over here, this one that goes under Coldwater Road right here at the intersection at Clubhouse is a 36.
That did pretty well.
That did well. And once we corrected the drainage here, when we put the culvert in at the intersection here, this spring, what we saw, you know, because every spring when we get melt, you know, the water runs down there because the lake floods into this pond, which floods into that pond, which drains over there, and it's all connected drainage through tile. That water, there's a 24-inch that runs underneath the storage area out to the pond behind the airport. That couldn't handle the amount of water coming from the lake because it was raining so much. That backed up under Coldwater Road and then under Clubhouse Drive was starting to pond over here, which, you know, that's a lot of water. And if we did not fix that, Coldwater Road probably would have been flooded at that point in time because it wouldn't have anywhere to go. But because that's the way that drainage there works, is it comes north, then east, and then out. And there's really, you know, kind of just south of the Pines Maintenance Barn is another one of those high points. So everything south of there would run towards Baseline. So I think we solved our drainage issues north of there. It's that in between kind of the friend's house over here and, you know, Al's property is where I think that next has to come in out.
Yeah. I don't think we need a feasibility study for that, though, do you guys? What do you think, Brent?
I think we got a good idea of what to do.
Yeah.
You know, like you say, just start at the east end
Mhm.
of, you know, Baseline and just work our way until we get it.
I think if we get some money, you know, figured out in a budget someday to actually do the project, the feasibility study would
Yeah.
make more sense. But if we can't afford the actual project, what's the point of
Exactly.
spending 12 grand? That was my whole thing, you know, there is a problem. Who has to do the ditching? Can we do ditching or does that have to be, we can?
Oh, yeah.
It's right away. I think.
So, yeah, Baseline's ours. That's on us.
Bob, what do you think? I agree with it.
What about, where baseline turns and goes into school road.
Schools counties, that's not ours.
Uh, And, but so it just goes up to, you know, that jog that you're looking at that corner. So if that needs a tube, where do we go?
So we have the baseline road right away, all the way to the river, is the
Okay.
villages,
Okay.
which is a little bit unique because our village limits ends at the end of our sewer property. But we
Okay,
have that right away all the way to the river. We acquired that 15 years ago
Mhm.
under the idea that if we had to do a sewer, we needed that right away to run a discharge line out to the river for the seasonal. discharge.
I guess that's would be my concern of getting, getting
Yeah.
the water through that point, right?
You know, the way I would sort of see it right now without having done a lot of work in this, you would probably make it flow on the north side to just past the driveway that leads right before your property. Go under after the pavement, so you're just going through the gravel, you're not cutting up asphalt, and then run it on the south side of the street out. That to me makes a lot more sense than going on the north side.
Mhm.
The thing we have to get careful there about is not flooding baseline, because that's historically been a very soft road. It doesn't thaw because of the tree cover. So the frost stays in there quite a while, so that doesn't drain well to begin with. And I think there's actually part of a wetland area behind it too. So, those are some of the issues there that we would have to look deeper into as well. We'd almost maybe need to look at going below ground, just do it to,
Yep. Well, this is all because of the drainage anyway. I mean, we have to have drainage there.
'cause we can run it right out to our lagoon property.
Right. And
Yeah.
it goes, all this property here
Yeah.
gets flooded.
Yep.
And it floods across Coldwater even.
Mhm.
Okay. I
I
don't
bought,
think.
I bought some equipment. I can, plot it and tell you what the elevation is, so we can know what the elevation change
Got it.
is. Not like a full survey or anything.
Yeah.
but, I mean, if you're fighting like 6, 8 feet, you probably can't ditch it, but
No, and
at
it's,
least you'd know what kind of rides and stuff you have to,
yeah,
but.
Yeah.
I can try to get out there for the next meeting and do it.
I don't think we need to go that aggressive.
There's snow in the cold, right?
Appreciate it.
They forgot about a snowmobile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that this,
Just put it on hold,
we
right?
agree not to do the
Not to
feasibility
proceed right
study.
now.
Okay. New business.
Well, the first item tonight under new business is a renewal of our coverage contract with the Sheriff's Department. Earlier this month, voters approved a very modest tax increase of 0.33 mils to allow us to continue our current agreement with the Sheriff's Department. This is the exact agreement that we have right now, which is the dates changed.
All right. And we have to do that now because for the, before the January, right now, don't we, Ken?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So what's your pleasure?
Motion.
Mhm.
I make a motion that we renew the sheriff's coverage agreement.
Motion made by CUNY to renew the sheriff's coverage agreements. Seconded by Laraway. Further discussion?
I actually talked to an individual this evening and he's a retired deputy sheriff out of Isabella County. And, just approached him on some ideas. This gentleman, what is our budget right now for the county? Is it 38,000 or something like that?
For this fiscal year, we put it in at, well, for this calendar year, we had it at 40,
That's what I was thinking,
Yeah.
38, 40.
35-40 is where we're at this
But,
calendar year.
I was even approaching, getting his ideas on, a part-time individual here and You know, I kind of told him our parameters and such, and he's like, you know, stick with the county because we'll never get anybody in part-time or the dollar amount that we're paying the county. In addition to that, you know, there'd be liability, there'd be, you know, a car, there'd be all that, so he's.
There'd be increase in charge.
And everything goes straight through, he says, you know, you guys are getting a good deal. Stick with it. You're definitely getting a great deal.
Well, more importantly, the millage approval won't allow you to do that.
Right.
The millage specifically. will give you-
This year, part of it. Right. Right.
Yeah, set it on those,
Yeah.
on the proposal.
Yeah.
All right. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Laraway.
Yeah.
Red Peavy,
Yes.
Carol Shannon, yes. Paul Cuny,
Yes.
Al Davis,
Yes.
Dave Torgerson.
Yes, motion carries. Okay. Liaison committee meeting.
Yeah, the association has suggested I believe, Pearl Harbor Day.
I will not be able to attend that one.
I cannot either.
It's a Wednesday, right? December 7th.
Yeah,
No, they've already agreed to this time?
they suggested it. Oh, they recommended this time.
Brent, can you be here?
I can make it work.
Yeah, I can make it work too. Bob, you want to come? No, but I will. Yeah, let me twist a little harder.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I assume the thing we're gonna probably talk the most about is obviously the trade proposal. I mean, that'll be where we start that dialogue.
okay.
So you're gonna go.
I'm gonna go through that. So they'll, so we'll have 3 there.
Yep. But
Okay, that's taken care of. Leaf burning ban.
You know, last item, I sent out an email a couple weeks ago about this topic. We have prohibited the burning of leaves in the village for many, many years now at this point in time. And it's coming to be more of an enforcement issue on our part. In that the vast majority of these offenses occur on the weekend when we don't have code enforcement. So central dispatch calls the fire department to come respond, and that's not, I think, terribly fair to ask them to come enforce our ordinance in that capacity. So I brought this up to your attention to say, you know, maybe we should repeal that ban just because it's not really something that we can enforce, quite frankly.
At least just the highlighted portion,
Yeah.
just the highlighted portion.
Yeah, that's where it's at. And then the question I would have after that is if that is the direction you do want to go. You know, the council's preference in the last few years has been do the whole section, you know, the whole article as opposed to just one little small technical thing. So I mean, if you want to go down that road, I think would probably be consistent with what you've been doing to go through that whole section and see, you know, what in there you want to take out in terms of regulation as well.
Because the last time we just amended a few things. We didn't, I mean, this is the original document from 2009.
19, yeah.
Well, originally.
Yeah.
And then we didn't redo the whole thing in 19.
No, the 19, we redid that section.
Just that section.
Just that whole thing. And the only really substantive amendment done to the burning ordinance in the in-between period was some regulations that were put in place regarding a former wood pellet factory in the village.
Right. That's what I was driving at.
Yes.
I have found, listening to the scanners, which I do quite a bit, majority of calls to the police department or the fire department result from illegal burns, extremely large burns, and unattended burns. Just the burning of yard waste to clean up the yards. It's extremely rare that I've heard a police call on that. Or do I have any problem with people doing that? I know there's a health issue, and I don't think there's anybody in the village who would lungs worse than mine. On oxygen and the whole thing, and it doesn't bother me. In fact, I enjoy it.
We're from that generation that did what everybody did. Yeah, yeah, we should probably look at that. I think maybe look at the whole thing as long as we're gonna open it up.
So does that go to the planning commission?
No.
No, that stays.
Police power ordinance. So I kind of thought I had it because I figured that would be the direction you'd want to go, because it's consistent with what you've been doing is. I was thinking about just kind of putting like a bulleted list of basically every regulation in Article 6. So
Right.
that includes animal, that includes house number, includes all that stuff. And then sending it to you guys and saying, you know, what do you think we need to get out of the business of doing?
Can we word that in such a way that it still includes illegal and unattended
Oh, yeah,
burns?
absolutely, yeah. Yeah, like the burning trash, burning construction materials, you know, those are
That
Those are totally, yeah.
Yeah,
Tires.
totally against that.
You know, when Michigan State loses and couches get burned, you know, things like that. We do.
I want to get it off my couch.
You're not saving the couch, you're not saving the couch for this Saturday, are you?
No, not.
Shoot.
Yay. Any public comment? This is the second time for it.
Just to build off of what Robert was saying too,
Jeff,
I sit on the fire board and I see the reports every month. And there are a ton of calls for going out and build illegal burning, that they go out and take care of the leaf burning, especially this time of the year as well too. So anything you guys can do to help work with that stuff will be great. Second thing, is I hope in your liaison meeting, when you have it, there was some talk at the LIPA meeting as well of forming a committee of, I would have to say probably made up of residents around here, but I would also like to see some council members and some LIPA board members. I'm talking 5 or 10 people. Starting in the new year, that this dredging issue is not something we want to put off again until middle of 2023, 2024 election stuff. So for me, I would like to get a committee together that can start putting details to the questions that we saw in a lot of these meetings. Things like, you know, how much is it gonna cost per scoop, you know, for cubic yard, things like that, what project's gonna be number 1, number 2, number 3, but the dredging issue, I don't want to let this go, and this is something I'm gonna push both councils to either do the committee stuff. If not, I'll approach the public myself and do it and try to work with both council, the LIPOA to make sure we can get this back on the ballot in 2024, if not sooner. So and hopefully that's something you guys can bring up to and talk to in your liaison meeting as well. I'll try to attend if I can.
I'd like to address, find out a little more about your comment of a ton of calls on leaf burning. We're talking Nottawa and Sherman Township. I'm
Yep.
sure they get a lot.
Nottawa, Sherman, Gilmore.
We're
and
talking the
Coldwater.
village. How many illegal burn calls do they get in the village?
I don't know right off the bat, but I can look at those reports and I can get you those numbers. So the
Yeah.
reports break it all down.
Illegal burns, unattended burns, I can understand.
Mhm.
But somebody burning leaves to clean up their yard, I don't believe the fire department is being called out that often on that.
They are if it's a no burn time. If it's not allowed to burn and stuff, they get called multiple times. I've seen it on the reports. Chief Livermore talked about it multiple times during our meetings.
I'm not talking about a state burn ban. I'm talking about our regulations
For the village.
in general. And to say, no, you can't do it at all, I won't support that, and I don't believe the calls of the fire department support it either.
Most of the time, the fire department gets called. It's not by the people who are burning, it's neighbors that are calling
I
and reporting
imagine
it. So,
the
but-
people don't call themselves.
No, I agree. Well, they do it at night when they can get away with it easier. So but we do get a lot of.
I just did.
Now I'm going to leave. If you find me. Okay.
I'm over at Pete's house. All right.
Burn them in my neighbor's yard.
Fair enough.
Burn them in the street.
Any further public comment? Being none, council comments?
We could do a survey to kind of that's where people are at on dredging, so like, you know, was it? Cause I'd hate to go down the road again, and then because people would be like, well, it was 2 mills, if it was 1 mill, I would have voted for it. You know, like maybe just have dredging questions, like, what are you most comfortable with, you know? Maybe people didn't wanna spend that money on that, they thought that we should spend more money on dredging the lake, it was kind of, you know, you're tiptoeing through the tulips, maybe people, you know, go right after it, they wanna see. I've heard more comments about that, that they wanna see more dredging in the big part of the lake. But I don't know, we didn't get I'm looking for ways to get feedback, because I was kind of caught off guard, because we didn't, as we were talking about it through the whole process, we didn't get a ton of feedback. You know, if people would have called or came to meetings and said, you know, don't package those two together, probably wouldn't have. But
I have to agree. I think packaging it together was a mistake. But.
in hindsight, you know, in hindsight,
Easy to say it afterwards.
Yeah.
hindsight's always 20/20, that's
That's
why I
right.
was looking to, I don't know if you do a survey, so maybe some of these people that didn't come to the village meetings. Or, what were the meetings that we were talking about, well, there was only one meeting that you heard that people said that out of 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing too. It's not like it got defeated by 150 votes,
No,
18 different votes,
right,
and we have.
right,
Problem I have with surveys, especially on items like that, is they're going out to non-voters as well.
yeah,
I mean, we're getting a lot of, I don't know how much of the feedback we get. And there's no way to tell whether it's from a voter or a non-voter, a registered voter or non-registered voter.
that's a very
And
fair
we
point.
can't just go totally by that feedback.
Well, yeah, in 2018, 62% of the people that responded to a survey said that they wanted the bike trail, walking trail,
Yeah.
62%.
80.
Or 80%, 62,
62.
62 the time
52
before.
wanted dredging,
Yeah.
80 wanted the trails.
Yeah, more people wanted the trail, or that responded wanted the trails than the dredging.
But we don't know if there's taxpayers or if they're.
right,
That's true.
That's the point.
Yeah, that's a good point, Bob. I
Yeah.
didn't-
Well,
I
and
didn't
it's-
think of
That and Tim does the best job he can with, you know, communicating with people and that. But this is the age where we need to get more electronic communication with people, more open to them. Like our Facebook page. I read more about the village on the damn neighborhood thing than I do on our own website. And that ain't right.
You know,
Well, it's not all true either.
I mean, it is the most important part of
That's
the
why
internet.
it's not right.
any other council comments?
That's the most important part of the internet.
Any other?
Maybe some of our, you know, in the future, after we get going on the liaison committee, like in the future, we open those up to like the public to maybe come and,
They can come to us.
Every meeting's open to the public.
All of them are.
I didn't know those.
Open meeting, public meeting after.
Yeah.
Gotta
We
be.
have to.
If they weren't, do you think we'd let Jeff show up?
No.
Yeah.
All right, is that it for the council comments? Any more? Okay. Announcements? Anything except December 7th, liaison, 9 AM, right?
Correct. Council would then be the 20th of December.
Okay. Chair will now entertain a motion to go into closed session for Tim's discussion and Tim's evaluation.
Guys, I want to thank everybody that came because it's nice to see people come to these meetings. So thank you very much.
Yes.
Motion made by Phoebe to go into closed session, seconded by Davis. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carried. 803.